Hey y'all, you are listening to the No Sleep Till Hollywood podcast. We're not sleeping until we make it in Hollywood, and while we're up, we'll be discussing the state of the industry and our place in it.
Ain't no sleeping till Hollywood. Ain't no sleeping till Hollywood. Hollywood, yeah.
It's your girl, Ayanna Costley, and I'm here with my favorite co-host,
Gaelyn D. Smith.
And what are we talking about today, Gaelyn?
Today, we are about to get into something that I feel like we've talked about before. And I know that we've talked about it before because we have an episode about it, Stay Mad Whites. So we are here to talk about these toxic fandoms that exist in these big franchise movies. And this week, if you guys haven't been paying attention, the Gladiator II trailer came out. And, you know, I saw it was a 3.5-minute trailer. It was a little long for my taste, but that was my big beef with it. But no. Other people were upset for two reasons. And no matter how you cut it, they're anti-Black as hell.
Yes.
They didn't like the trailer because Watch the Throne. Y'all remember Kanye West and Jay-Z when they were a rap group for one album. They had that song, No Church in the Wild, in the trailer. And then we have Denzel Washington. People were mad because he was Denzel Washington and because he spoke normally. And if you guys didn't know, Gladiator II is, you know, a reference to Gladiator, the movie, which is about the gladiator culture of, you know, Rome in the long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
All that money my parents spent on my history education, and I said, a long time ago.
Look, we doing the best with what we got.
Okay. Got it, okay. So people were upset about it. And it's not the first time that we've had, you know, these kinds of issues, but the movie trailer is being review bombed.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen... we haven't
problem.
seen review bombing like this since The Little Mermaid last year, honestly.
Right.
And well, you know what happened?
Everybody wants to be anti-Black. Yeah. For me, like, beyond the trailer, like, yes, the trailer was like a little long, but this is also a sequel to a movie that came out, and I think in 2000, and it's like something that people have been waiting on. So, like, I feel like if the trailer was too short, people would have had something bad to say. So beyond the length, the format. Another problem that people had was that they felt like beyond it being too long, it just gave away too many details and too many of the set pieces. Like, what are we physically going to be seeing or visually going to be seeing in the movie? People feel like it gave away too much. Fine. Yeah. That aside, like Gaelyn said, people were kind of pegging their anger and their mad feelings on the fact that this song, No Church in the Wild, was being used and it's not from the time period, I guess. Like,
but like, what music were they listening to in Rome? Like, do we know?
And even beyond that, like, the real problem is that they used a rap song. If they used a non-rap or a non-hip-hop modern contemporary song, I don't think the outrage would have been this big. It's because...
And I know that you're right, because somebody told me this. I made a TikTok about this. Somebody told me in my comments, the original Gladiator, the original trailer, which I then tried to go out and, like, I was like, I remember seeing this trailer before, but I tried to find it again, and you can't find it conveniently right now. Guess what artist they were using for the original trailer? Kid Rock.
Oh.
The Rock Man.
And Ayu.
So we know that it's not the modern music you have an issue with.
Yeah.
It's the Black, and mind you, rock is Black music, but, you know, we'll put that aside. We'll put that aside for now. But
they don't want that though.
Someone said in my comments, they were like, would you put hip hop in The Hobbit? Would you put The Beatles in Color Purple? And I was like,
The Beatles,
if the only Black movie you know is The Color Purple, like, you are proving my point.
Yeah. And I think people forget, like, we haven't seen the movie, so we don't know what the soundtrack of this movie is going to be. The soundtrack has not come out. We don't know.
The trailer and the soundtrack are not the same thing.
They're not the same. And
also,
with trailers, you need
the
to get
soundtrack and the score are not the same thing.
Yeah, it's different. But, like, the whole point of a trailer is to get people excited. You need to capture the tone, the feeling, the theme of the movie in a song. Sometimes that doesn't work with an orchestra song or, like, a classical song. And I don't know.
Friend, let's take it a step further. What are one of the core principles of hip hop? Competition and MCs.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about gladiators in an arena, rap is modeled in that same gladiator spirit. Yeah. If we look at the battle between Drake and Kendrick Lamar, we were the Coliseum.
Yes.
We were the arena audience.
Yes.
They were the gladiators fighting to the musical death. So it makes perfect sense to me why hip hop would be the music that you would use to underscore this movie.
Exactly. But it's not adding up for everybody else. And I really think it's just anti-Blackness.
I think it's because people don't want to consider, and I said this when we were having the conversations about the Grammys and SZA this year. I'll probably have the same conversation, unfortunately, next year when we're talking about Cowboy Carter and the Grammys. Like, people like Black art until it requires them to think. Yeah. And so I think the idea that, like, they would use Black music, or that Denzel as a Black man and an actor would be present in this theme, require people who do not want to think diversely to think diversely. And no matter what language they want to use around it, like, if your issues with the trailer are the music because it's hip hop, or Denzel because he's using his regular accent, you don't like Black people. And you don't want Black people in your stories. That is quite simply what you're saying. If you don't like the trailer because it's too long, or you feel like it's giving away too many set pieces, or if you just don't like the song, but you were like, I would have used a different hip hop song, or I just don't like that's different
completely. Yeah. Right.
But it's like hip hop. There's no hip hop in the times.
I feel like they're trying to say the loud part quiet. They're trying not to say that they're anti-Black. They're trying not to say that they're racist, and they're finding very coded language to use in these YouTube comments, in these Twitter tweets. But the truth is, you just don't like Black people. And I want to take something you just said of people love Black art, and I want to take it a little further. They love Black art until it shows up in a place where Black art wasn't historically included.
Woo!
That's the tea.
Ayanna, you speaking now, friend. Go ahead, friend. Go ahead, friend.
Yeah. But I know, like, when
you said a word there.
No, seriously, when we're prepping for the episode, I know you have a bunch of examples from, like, shows, movies that, like, you've seen or, like, heard of. One that comes to mind for me is Star Wars and John Boyega.
Yes.
Because he was in, I think the movie came out, it was before 2020, or it came out.
I want to say it's not more than 5 years old. I think it might have been 2019.
Right. It's like recent history, but I remember in 2020, it was like kind of his first time speaking out publicly and saying, y'all, I didn't have a good experience being in this movie. I didn't have a great experience working with Disney, because when these racist trolls started abusing me online and attacking me, no one was really there to rectify the situation. And that's just one example of, like, you start putting these studios, as they should, they start including Black people, people of color into these historical franchises, but then they're not prepared to stand up to the racist fans.
And they're not prepared to support them, because I think that's...
But not supporting it because there are Black people in it now. It's like...
And it's funny because that relates to a conversation that Ayanna and I were having off camera about some other stuff, but, like, it is not enough as a Black actor who does theater with predominantly white audiences and working for predominantly white theaters, right? Like, it is not enough to just bring Black actors into a space.
No.
You have to create all types of support systems. So when you're talking about a franchise that is 60, 70, 80 years old, like, long histories, Doctor Who has had how many different iterations?
Yes.
Star Wars has had X many iterations. One of the examples that I have on here was Francesca from Romeo and Juliet in London. Romeo and Juliet. Yes, Romeo and Juliet being a show that's obviously been around for years and years and years. If you are going to diversify something that people have a deep attachment to, you also have to be prepared to stand in front of the actors and let them and to tell people that this was your artistic choice and why. And I think that's why I will always have my respect for Rick Riordan, who is the writer of Percy Jackson, who, when they decided to cast Leah Jeffries, a young Black girl, as Annabeth in the Percy Jackson series, he came out, they started talking about that baby, and within 48 hours, he came up and said, what you will not do is talk about this baby.
Yeah.
And I think, because that's one of the questions I have is, like, I think studios and production companies, they do have a responsibility to stick up for Black actors in the face of racism. It is not sexy work. It is not necessarily always profitable work, but it is necessary work to create the safe environment, to create the art that you want to profit off of. And it is sustainability work, because we know that Hollywood already loses $30 billion a year for not telling Black and Asian stories.
Right.
So unless we want to make, double that, make it 60, 70 million,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to have to start standing up for Black actors. As an actor, it is so difficult. Ooh, now we really in my business today. But it is so difficult to, right? It is so difficult to do nuanced, interesting, exciting, the work of telling stories and entertaining people and helping to educate people through stories. Like, it is so difficult to do that work when you do not feel safe and you do not feel protected.
Yeah.
And so the question was, do they have a responsibility? Yes, they have a responsibility.
Absolutely.
And I think Rick Riordan is the perfect example of ways that you can do it. And if you're not willing, in my opinion, if the production company and the studio and the directors and folks who've made the choice to put this Black actor in that space are not willing to do that work, then they should not be the people doing the work.
They shouldn't.
And I don't mean the Black actors. I mean the people who are not going to stand up.
Yeah, there's a moral responsibility. Like, there is no law, there is no bylaw in Hollywood saying that, like, if you're gonna take a book and turn it into a movie, and in the book all the characters are white, but in these movies or series we're gonna add Black people and people of color. There's no law or bylaw in Hollywood that says, okay, as a studio, as a production company, you need to be willing to stand on the front lines. But there is a moral responsibility. You know what's right and what's wrong. And as a studio, as executives, as producers, as directors, you know that you have the power and the privilege to stand in front of the actors who historically have less power.
Yeah.
You have the moral responsibility to protect those people who may want to protect themselves, but only one person can't tweet
one
back.
Person can't fight 7,000
million racist trolls, especially that stuff is so harmful. Like, it shouldn't even be on the actors.
And it goes, and I think that's the thing, is like, people don't understand, like, it goes from like complaints about who's included to like death threats,
and that's
to telling people to harm themselves. Like, these comments are not just about a dislike. They are really like deep-seated hatred that people are spewing. And then, because we've seen when studios don't say anything and leave people out there. I mean, like, we think about like the early what was that show from the 90s, Boy Meets World, with the Black actor who was like, my castmates were racist bullies to me, and so was the fan base, and no one said anything or did anything. Like, we've seen it happen. This was, a situation. It's like, we've seen actors deal with repercussions of what happens to them on set or as a result of their press conferences for these things have long lasting implications on them. And on their lives, on their families. Like, and that's what I think people don't understand. Like, it's art and it's entertainment, but it is a job. Like, the same way that, like, you guys want to go to your jobs and, have meetings and send emails and those things and not want to be harassed on your job. Right. Similarly, actors and writers and creators do not want to be harassed for doing their jobs.
Yeah, I think people don't see it as jobs. People don't respect it as jobs. And it's more so, well, you should be even lucky that we're allowing you to grace our TV screens and our movie screens. And it's just not that. Like, this is a job.
I like to remind people all the time.
People are getting paid for this job. They shouldn't be harassed. They shouldn't be sent death threats, especially when these same actors are expected to go on press runs and press tours and interact with fans
and everything else.
Exactly. And it's also built into certain contracts that, like, as an actor in a movie or a TV show, you have to go interact with fans.
If you're doing a Marvel show, you know you're going on a press run.
Exactly.
You're going to Comic-Con, at least one of them, not 3 of them.
You're going to meet and greets. And so now what happens when you're at, for example, a Comic-Con meet and greet and no one is coming to your table? What happens when people do come to your table, but they're spewing that same online racist rhetoric and anti-Black rhetoric? Now they're spewing it to your face. That's why production company studios absolutely have a responsibility to stand up and to say, we do not support this type of language. We don't support this type of harassment. But more times than not, they don't do it because now they're afraid to alienate part of their core fan base when they could be bringing in a new fan base who actually wants to support the work that they're doing.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing is, like, when I think about fans, like, I understand. I think it happens a lot with, like, things that are like book adaptations, especially because it's like you sit in your house and you're reading the book and you're imagining it in your mind, and then somebody isn't what you imagine. But I'd like to also remind those of us who are consumers, unless it's your book or your story, you don't control it.
No.
And so whatever best serves the story for the medium that it is being told for is what needs to be done. I think we are moving into a space now where like you should not be reading anything and default assume a character is white.
That's your fault. If you did that, that's on
That's your fault.
you and your lack of creativity. I'm sorry.
Literally, in one of my comments, going kind of back to the Denzel thing, because everyone was like, well,
Mhm.
Denzel's using his regular accent, and oh, look, there goes that Denzel laugh. And my argument is that he's not playing a character whose voice needs to be altered. And the reason for that is this, as someone who is classically trained and studied,
Her.
you know, BFA or whatever. A lot of the accents that we associate with the past and specific regions of the past are historically inaccurate.
Yes.
The British accent that Shakespeare was using when his plays were being written and performed in the time that he was alive, sound like American accents, particularly Southern American accents, which is why when you sometimes read Shakespeare in your American accent, you're able to hear the nuances of the rhythms a little bit better because we actually are pronouncing them closer to what they sounded like, the words sounded like. When we talk about Rome, all the movies from back when my daddy was a kid that were in black and white about Rome and everybody had British accents, we associate British accents with intelligence because we do stuff like that.
Exactly.
Howsoever, the Romans and the British, different countries, different accents.
Yeah. So how do we get those mixed up?
We don't know what they talked like back then, in which case you don't know that they didn't sound like Denzel. And again, if you don't like Denzel's his voice, and that's making you say the movie is a hot mess, well, I'm here to tell you, you might be racist.
And also, I feel like people just lost the plot. We lost the plot so bad because this 3-minute trailer came out. We have Denzel Washington. We got Paul Mescal. We got Pedro Pascal. Like, y'all looking at the wrong things.
We're looking at the wrong things, people.
Y'all, is it the braids? Y'all lost the plot. Absolutely lost the plot. Just enjoy. This is the thing that I hate sometimes. Like, why can't we just enjoy things? A big movie, a tentpole film is coming out. We don't get these all the time.
Also, Gladiator II is coming out the same day as Wicked. Like, we are talking about this year's Barbenheimer.
Exactly.
And we worried about a little music and some Negroes.
Like, haven't even seen the movie. The movie is not even done being made. Like,
I wonder if there was similar backlash around the Wicked film. I didn't see as much, but I'm wondering similar because, especially because, them musical theater girlies is mean.
They mean.
So I don't know if there's been similar. I have my own issues with the casting in Wicked, but that's more about.
Yeah, that's another episode.
Right. That's another episode when we talk about Black British actors.
Yeah. But I need to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hold.
I've never seen Gladiator.
Me neither. So we gotta watch it.
I'm gonna be honest. Uncle Denzel.
You're not gonna see it? You're not gonna see this one?
It doesn't look interesting to me.
But look at the people in it. It's okay, y'all. I'm gonna convince Gaelyn because I'm gonna try to see it.
Ayanna do be trying to convince me to see the action movies, and I'm here to tell y'all, I do not like. Action movies are not for me, y'all.
Listen, she's saying that now, but I got her to watch Bad Boys. She only watched the first one, but wait till she watches the second one. We're going to check in at the next recording. It's okay.
I used to be an action movie girly.
I'm gonna convince you.
I used to be an action movie girly. I saw the first about 5, 6 Fast and Furious.
Okay, that
Furious guys.
We're gonna get more into it. It's okay.
We're gonna try, but
we're gonna try. But yeah, we'll keep y'all tuned, or y'all stay tuned into
y'all stay tuned. Let us know if you're going to go see Gladiator 2. Let us know if you've seen Gladiator 1. Let us know how you feel about all of this stuff. And the reason it's important, because I think I've gotten, and I need to respond on my TikTok as well to that too, but like the reason why it's important to talk about review bombing and why it matters is not because of what the fans necessarily think and do, but like y'all got to understand that stuff in Hollywood really only gets greenlit because of what has already happened. So like review bombing, right. So it's like review bombing is going to make it difficult the next time somebody wants to like do a color conscious casting of a historical fiction movie. Exactly. Those are the kinds of things that make it more difficult. And then we'll sit up here, then people will go, well, goodness, we don't have any leads of X descent or with these abilities. And I'm like, that's because y'all was sitting up here screaming about Watch the Throne and Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
So that's why it matters, is that like how people talk about a thing impacts if people go see the thing. And if people don't go see the thing,
then now we all in trouble. So it's
Right.
like, be honest, like share your comments,
Also,
share what
I'm
you
so
think about
sorry.
these things.
Y'all
But
mean to tell me we're review bombing a movie with Denzel Washington?
that's what I'm saying.
Because realistically, smart movie strategy is no matter how many lines Denzel Washington has in your movie, if he's in your movie, you put that nigga in the trailer.
He could have no lines and he could be the whole trailer. That's the whole point.
So the fact that now you're trying to tell me that Hollywood's most bankable star is no longer a bankable star, get the fuck out of my face.
And that's how you and I and we know that this is just anti-black.
This is anti-black. Y'all ain't finna tell me that Uncle Denzel ain't no movie star. You won't tell me that, miss. Not today, Satan.
Yeah. So unless you have a real thought and a real critical opinion, keep it to yourself. Keep it offline. Please and thanks. That's all.
Thanks. With that, this has been another episode of the No Sleep Till Hollywood podcast. As always, make sure you guys follow us at No Sleep Till Hollywood on Instagram, and make sure you follow me at G Smitty with 2 T's and 4 Y's on anything with an @ symbol.
And you can follow me at Ayanna Costly on Instagram and at Ayanna Online on TikTok. And that is the episode. We'll see y'all next time, y'all.
All right, y'all. Good night. Goodbye. Adios. Bye, guys.
Bye.